driven by Hardee's, starring the best fried chicken in the game today. And now, from the Arizona Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Phoenix, Arizona, it's the Minnesota Moose against the high-scoring Phoenix Roadrunners. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to a very warm, sunny 80-degree. They are wearing their white home jerseys with blue trim. The Minnesota Moose wearing their dark road jerseys with white and purple trim with a little bit of green thrown in. Here come the Roadrunners across the Minnesota line. This is Jeff Chevalier, a high-scoring rookie on this team, getting it off into the corner for Nicholas Vachon. Back to the point, back into Vachon in the corner. Behind the goal again for Chevalier. He's ridden off the play by Minnesota's Brad Miller, playing his second game since a long rest on the sidelines due to an injured shoulder. It's played out in front, but the Moose grab it off. And here comes Stefan Morin, leading the top-scoring Minnesota line up ice. Play is broken up by Brian Straub. A little too far in his pass to Vachon. It would have been an offside pass anyhow. Minnesota's Dave Haxtell tips it out to center, and it's deflected down the length of the rink by Stuart Gavin. And it'll be an icing call against the Minnesota Moose.
We're seeing some interesting jockeying here right away. Oh, here's the young Brian Defoe, quality goalkeeper from the Western League. His goals against isn't great, but in that area that really matters, he's put up 23 victories and 14 losses. Very strong with him. Now we see Tom Draper, who of course has been a big part of the resurgence of the Moose. He well above 500, great stop percentage, just been a standout for the Moose all year long.
Face-off coming to the right of Tom Draper, who tonight is starting his 5th straight game. He has also started 9 of the last 11 Moose games.
You see some interesting jockeying here, Wally. Frank is trying to save the Snuggerud line for Perreault, and you watched they went out first and then they came off as soon as they got a chance, and now they're back out again. But they'll go off if I don't miss my guess. There they go again. What he wants to do is keep them to play against Perreault and Brown. And this will be an interesting, and it's hard to do when you're not the home team, but he's trying to do it. They did such a good job of shutting down Emons and Bruce and Calhoun last night that it makes sense to do that. But you'll watch here now if he'll bring out who he brings out now.
And hopping onto the ice is number 19, Steve Wilson, a defenseman for the Roadrunners. So he's just going to line up in his regular spot.
Be interesting to see what he does now. If Robbie Laird takes Perreault and Brown off every time Snuggerud and those guys are out there, before long, I know this as a coach, Wally, you wind up not having them out there as much as you want. So it's going to be an interesting jockeying of lines here until something gets settled away.
Here is Scott Humanick passing up the middle for Todd Hawkins. Yes, that's a name you haven't heard in a long time because he's been out the last 14 games due to elbow surgery, but Hawkins getting his first start in a long time for the Moose. Puck comes into the Minnesota zone. It's centered out in front for number 14, Dave Tomlinson, a 28-year-old out of Edmonton. He's knocked to the ice, brings back up, hands it off to Jim Vesey. Vesey back to Tomlinson in the corner. He's checked there by Humanick. Tomlinson gets it behind the goal. Rolling off into the corner now is Tomlinson again. Back behind the net. Feeding Vesey, but he's checked. The Moose clear it around to the other side. Cowie had it momentarily, fanned on it, and Minnesota's Hawkins comes out to center. Hawkins drops it off. Ivan Korovo tries to center it, but it glances off a skate and is grabbed off by Dan Bilsma. Bilsma, correction, gets it ahead for number 77, Rob Cowie. Down low, it's put out in front by Rob Brown. Nobody home, and the puck bounces out to center. This is Brian Straub, a former Maine Black Bear in college hockey, but his pass up ice to a teammate is an offside pass. Got some Moose news to pass on. Hawkins is day-to-day coming in, but this is the day that he's not day-to-day, and he's playing in tonight's contest. Scott Sissons is out with back spasms. Marco Sisiki had wrist surgery. He'll be out another 4 weeks. Dean Kolstad did not make the trip either. He's not injured, but his wife is due any minute now, eh?
Yes, she is, and our thoughts with them, and I should hope that everything goes well there, and if it does, hopefully Dean can join us for Saturday's game, but he's where he should be, and
yes,
and that's great. Once again, you see the Snuggerud line out there. Once again, he won't put Brown and Perreault out. And if you watch again, when they get the puck in deep, Snuggy and Gavin and well, there they go again.
Right off the ice. And bouncing over the boards is a line of Christian, Curry, and Moran for Minnesota. Coming up the right side now is Jeff Chevalier. Dropping it off. Nobody there. The Moose get it and come back 2-on-1. Christian over to Dan Curry. It's in his skates. He has to chase it down as it bounces into the corner. Curry then levels Brian Straub on a hard jolt. Curry, a former Phoenix Roadrunner. That's how the Moose got him, on loan. And he's after his old mates. Here's Christian trying to snap a shot off, but it's deflected by Straub going wide. Curry into the side boards for it. Ties up. Puck is bounced out to center. And it's shot right back in by Brad Miller. The Moose are offside. Everybody tags and play continues. Straub out past his own blue line. Shoots it to the Minnesota line. Going after it into the corners, number 21, Dan Bilesma lost the puck, and here come the Moose again, 2-on-1. Dan Curry going towards the net, fires a shot, he scores!
I think he wasn't love that.
Oh, yes!
Dan Curry faking the pass, holding it and pulling it by the last defenseman, and then just dumping it by a rather startled Brian Defoe. A great ability to handle a puck that Dan Curry has, and he showed us right there. You'll see it here. Watch him come here. They're waiting for the pass. Now watch him fake the pass and then pull it right by that. Got that defenseman Straub just spinning around like a top, and then just deposited by Brian Defoe, who I'm sure didn't know quite how to play that, Wally.
Nice play by Dan Curry. The lone assist will go to Larry Olam.
Larry's really been picking up his point production of late.
Boy, has he ever.
We've always felt he's going to be a very solid player in this league, and it takes a little while, you know, that it's a big step. But Larry's got such great hockey sense and just a feeling of this game that you got to believe that he's going to be just a really fine player.
Here's an opportunity for Gary Shuchuk. Yes, Minnesota fans, you've heard that name many a time as a Gopher fan. He played for the University of Wisconsin, now LA King property, and down here for conditioning, and wearing the same number 16 that he wore in college hockey. Here's Humanek from Minnesota, ringing it around the boards to the weak side. The Moose pick it up, and Johnny Young feeds it ahead, but it's off the stick of Williams. Springing back now is Vachon for Phoenix. His shot's on goal. Draper kicks that out. It's passed out in front for Vachon, but he's contained in front of the goal by Humanek. And it's slid out to center by Ivan Korovo. Rob Cowie, the 27-year-old out of Toronto, shoots it into the Minnesota end. Hustling in after it is number 28, Keith Redmond of Phoenix, but he lost it. Hawkins from Minnesota up to Korovo. Korovo to John Young, number 11 from Minnesota, sprints across the line, leaves a trailer for Korovo, who fires, but it glances off of number 19, Steve Wilson. Puck loose out in front. Young is all tied up. At the side of the goal is Korovo, putting it back to the point, and it's intercepted by the Roadrunners. Redmond shoots it down ice, but we have a whistle, and we've had a pause on the ice while we get things set. With the delay, we'll be back with Minnesota leading the Phoenix Roadrunners 1-0.
Cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft. The cold one. For those who've discovered its smooth draft taste, the world is a very cool place. So get out of the old and get into the cold.
Say, Moose hockey fans, if you're looking to save money on pro hockey, check out the Moose group tickets. It's tremendous to have group therapy this way. $2 off with a group of 20 or more, $3 off with a group of 50 or more. And to find out more, just contact the Minnesota Moose at 26 Moose. It doesn't get any easier than that to remember. And you'll have yourself a whale of a good night out.
This little chess match is continuing, Wally. And each time Frank puts Snuggerud and our guys out there, and then Robbie Laird won't put Perreault and those guys out. It's going to be, I don't know how long before he realizes he's not getting his big guns out on the ice hardly at all.
Well, they've skated one very short shift, and you essentially are keeping the number 1 and number 2 scorer in the league off the ice. that plays perfectly into the Minnesota Moose hands.
You watch again there. We've made the change. Now there goes Williams. They're off again, so and Frank has to do that to get them rested enough so that what Laird would like them to do is leaves the Snuggerud line out there for a full shift, and then he could bring his guys back out. But Frank never leaves them out there for a full shift. As soon as Perreault and Brown go off, they go off. So it's an interesting juggling match.
Potomski for Phoenix fires a rink-wide pass, picked up out of the corner by Yannick Perreault, number 44, centered out in front, and a shot goes off the goalpost. Now Chris Snell trying to feed it back to Perreault, but Christian sends it to the middle. 2-on-1. Here is Moran going in. He shoots, and it's just wide of the goal. Puck bounces out of the corner boards, and Perreault gets it out to center for Rob Brown. Trying to feed it back to Perreault, but it's intercepted by Christian. Comes outside the line and is fired right back in by Brian Straub. Minnesota tries to clear it, but Rob Brown intercepts. Here's Brown moving in. He shoots. It's blocked out in front. And Moran picks up the loose puck for the Moose. His pass deflects off a shaft of somebody's stick and winds up in the Phoenix bench, and that stops the action. There's a lone goal scorer of the game, Dan Curry, a former Phoenix Roadrunner, acquired on loan by the Moose, and he was actually traded by the Roadrunners to Atlanta, but that was nullified, so it kept Curry in Minnesota.
Yes, there was a stipulation in the agreement that Frank had with Phoenix that he was to be left with us for the remainder of the season, and they couldn't be recalled by them, and they tried to contend that though they couldn't recall him, they could trade him, and the league ruled that no, they couldn't. When they said he was going to be with us the rest of the season, that's just what it meant. So thank goodness for that, because that line obviously has been big part of the Moose offense.
No question. Play is in the Phoenix zone. Number 28 is Keith Redmond with it. He's out of Richmond Hill, Ontario. Lost the puck to the Moose. Ivan Corvo feeds it to the point. Brad Miller, a wrist shot, is blocked by number 15, Jeff Chevalier, the 20-year-old rookie. Now here's Chevalier stealing it back, putting it out in front, and it glances off of Mike Smith's skate wide. Smith looking very solid for the Moose, wearing number 3 down there in his third stint up here with the big club, coming out of Roanoke of the East Coast Hockey League, where he's a league all-star. He's turning into an all-star of Moose proportions here in the eye.
He has filled in admirably, Wally, as you pointed out.
And here is Smith sending it around to the weak side where the rest of the players aren't. It's tipped out to center. Racing in after it was number 22, Dave Morissette. Moose now tied up along the board by Nicolas Vachon. And the two Frenchmen freeze it there for a face-off. There's a pause on the ice with the Moose holding the lead. We'll return to Phoenix in a moment.
It will reshape attitudes and turn heads. It is smart. It's about style, inside and out. It's about safety, like dual airbags and meeting 1997 side impact standards today. It's about choice, 2 doors or 4 doors. These are the times. This is the car. It's the all-new Tercel from Toyota.
Next home game for the Minnesota Moose will be next week, February the 7th. That's a Tuesday night at the St. Paul Civic Center. A big tribute to the Minnesota Fighting Saints, and the Moose will be wearing those old Saints jerseys there. And I'm sure you'll be enjoying that to the hilt, Glenn.
Yes, I certainly will. That'll bring back some awfully nice memories for me and guys like Antonovich. There we see Scott Humanek. I did not see what he hurt. I sure hope it isn't that leg again. It looks like it might be. Scotty had just really been coming on and producing, chipping in with some real offense for us, as witnessed the 2 goals last night. I sure hope that isn't anything serious.
Minnesota down now to 5 defensemen. Dave Haxtell, Mike Smith, Brad Miller, Chris Miller, and Larry Olam. Here is number 27, Dave Christian of the Moose. He's checked as he stood up at the blue line by Brian Straub, and the Roadrunners come screeching back. Here's Bilesma. Dan Bilesma to the corner is ridden out of the play, and Larry Olam lifts it to center ice for Christian, who hands it off now to Snuggerud. 2-on-1 Minnesota. Snuggy fires, and it's just high and wide of the upper right corner. Curry tried to center, but it's picked off, and here comes Straub. Feeding it ahead for high-scoring defenseman Chris Snell. Now to Bilesma, putting it out in front for Brown. He scores! Rob Brown ties it up.
Some guys, those goal scorers, find a way to get it in. And this time, Robbie Brown was able to get Brown out there without the full Snugger Road line. Snuggy was out there, but Christian and Curry were with him, not Williams and Gavin, as we would prefer to have.
Looks like Draper got a pretty good hunk of that one, Glenn.
Yeah. It really is something about those big point producers. They somehow find a way to get it into the net. It didn't look like he had a real good chance at the end. He was being harassed a little, and as you mentioned, Tommy Draper seemed to have it fairly well covered, but somehow it found its way to the back of the net.
Dan Bilesma and Chris Snell picking up the assist on Brown's 24th goal of the year. Chris Miller charging hard after the puck for the Minnesota Moose, back behind his own net. Miller banks it off the boards, too far for Hawkins. It's kept in by Cowie. Now at the blue line, backhand shot by Potomski is blocked, and the Minnesota Moose come out. Here's Hawkins, a long shot from just across center, is gloved and dropped to the ice by netminder Byron Defoe. And the Moose will retract into their own zone. Miller. This is Chris out of Taconite. He'll be our first intermission live guest. Puck is cleared in the zone. Sidestepping a check was Gary Shuchuk. It comes to the Minnesota line. Broken up there, and racing back for the Moose is Johnny Young. Young looking for Corrival, but the pass is intercepted by Cowie. Make that Eric Levine. Levine playing it up the middle now for Tomlinson. Dave Tomlinson drops it back. Levine takes a shot. It goes off the shaft of a Moose stick, but it's grabbed off now by Tomlinson, who shoots. It's on in front of the score. Shuchuk.
This is a very opportunistic team. You just can't leave them. I was looking at some coverage on our end. We had a couple of guys circling back in there, not stopping and picking anybody up, and all of a sudden somebody's loose in front of the net, and Gary Shuchuk deposits it right past Tommy Draper, who I don't think had much of a chance on that one.
And Shuchuk was left wide open, 15 feet out in front. Shuchuk is down here for conditioning purposes, and he'll be back up in the NHL with the LA Kings. He gets his first goal, and the assists on the play will go to Dave Tomlinson and Eric Levine. 2-1 now, Phoenix in front. Expect a high-scoring game, folks, because the Roadrunners are the highest-scoring team in the league. Yes, they are. We're not getting let down with 3 goals here in the first half of the opening period.
That's a goal scored by Shuchuk.
At this pace, we're going to have about 20 goals scored. Here we go. The Moose rolling back. Minnesota's already had about 3 2-on-1 situations tonight.
That's what you get with the Phoenix team. You do get some great chances.
Larry Olam with a steal. Up for Stefan Moran. He lobs it into the zone. Moran is on a 3-game scoring streak after his 19-game streak was halted. But he's got 8 points in his last 3 games. Moran, number 25 for Minnesota, tried to put on some forechecking pressure. Here comes Rob Brown back for the Roadrunners. He's second in the league in scoring. Plays it out in front, but Minnesota grabs it off. And here comes Dan Curry right back. Big line versus big line. Curry ridden out by Straub, and Yannick Perreault, the league's leading goal scorer, passes out to center. Taking it off the boards is Bilsma. Cross the line now for Perreault, going in the backhander, stopped by Draper. He swats it to the corner. Rob Brown, number 9, in there for it, for Phoenix. Hands it off to Perreault. Boy, he gets through traffic in a hurry. Yannick Perreault has a pass blocked, tipped by Mike Smith up ice, and here come the Moose, 2 against 2. Stuart Gavin for Snuggerud. Leaves a trailer, but it's a delayed offside, picked off, and back comes Bilesma to make that Shuchuk. Puts it out into the slot. Brown is tied up, can't pull the trigger. Shuchuk to the side wall for Cowie, and his shot along the ice gets wide. Minnesota clears. Wide open hockey, just like last night's home game against Kansas City, which the Moose won 7-4 to keep those winning ways in the right direction. Behind his net is Steve Wilson as Snuggerud slips and crashes into the headboards. Chris Miller to Williams, back to Miller. Now to the other Miller, Bradley. Snuggerud tips his pass to center. It's picked up on the fly by Sean Williams. Sean trying to center, but it's grabbed off, and back comes Tomlinson. His pass is intercepted. John Young spins. Feeds Corrival. Drops it back to his defense, and this is Brad Miller. Big Brad out of Edmonton. Reaches the line, takes a shot. It glances off of Wilson's leg, and that one hurt. Brad Miller pinching in from the point, keeps the play alive, sends it down low for Corrival. Minnesota attacking as Corrival centering pass, deflected. Hawkins centers, and Young couldn't finish it off. Hawkins is dumped to the ice. And here come the Roadrunners. And they ain't called runners for nothing. Chevalier across the line. Drops it back, takes a feed in the corner, but Hackstall squeezes him off the play. And Hack passes a puck to center. Here's Eric Levine right back. He's a second-year player for Phoenix. Shoots it in. A hard-charging Chevalier throws a hit. Larry Olam comes away with a puck from Minnesota and plays it to center. Number 22 is Brian Chapman out of Brockville, Ontario, a seventh-year pro. He was Phoenix's most valuable defenseman last year. Puts it out in front. Puck is cleared off to the side wall by Draper. Into the corner goes Rob Brown. Brown digging away for it. Tied up by Olam. Plays it in front for Perreault, but it gets away from him. And here comes Minnesota. Hawkins' pass. Too far for Gavin. Chases in after it. The goalie has to play it away. Defoe. So there's no icing. Lofted right back in by Williams as Minnesota's checking line is out against the high-scoring unit of Perreault, Bilesma, and Brown. Now Chapman takes it. Brian Chapman shoots it into the Minnesota zone. Goaltender Draper feeds it ahead. Banked out. And picking it up on the roll is Snuggerud. To Gavin. To Curry. Curry drops it back for Chris Miller. He goes in deep to the zone. Miller, the defenseman, checks his man, but the puck is cleared, and this is Stefan Morin at center. Morin slides it off the top edge of the glass into the zone. And here is Chris Snell out of Regina. He's a top-scoring defenseman in the league. Gets it out to center for number 16, Gary Shuchuk, already with a goal. Shuchuk here for conditioning as a pass blocked, and Minnesota's Morin starts back. Morin feeds Christian, breaking through the middle, but the pass is off the stick, and here comes Brian Straub right back. Cross the line, into Shuchuk, but Hackstall slows his progress. Behind the goal, it's centered, and whacked at by Tomlinson, but Draper saves. Morin to Christian, cuts to the middle, feeds it in for Morin, going right on goal. Morin still with it, centers, it's behind the ball, but he reaches back and falls to the ice with the puck smothered underneath. Pause on the ice. The Roadrunners have come from behind to take a 2-1 lead, and will return for more of this scoring derby.
Big Will Rossi, Total, and Pabst present the Forest Lake Ice Fishing Contest Sunday, February 5th. Prizes include a Ford Explorer from Minor Ford, 3 boats from Nelson Marine, a trip to Hawaii, and 4 trips to Las Vegas by Money Mark Travel. 2 snowmobiles from Forest Lake Motorsports, and the 100th largest fish will win $10,000 cash. Any fish over 1.5 pounds, $100. Over 2.5 pounds, $200. Other prizes from Berkeley and Clam, Magnum Augers by Strike Master. Tickets at Big Will Rossi, Total, and Twin City Bait Stores. Call 936-2900.
This is MSC, your regional sports connection.
More truck for less money? Then get yourself a real full-size pickup, a 95 Chevy CK. It's got a powerful V6 engine that gives you more standard horsepower than Ford F-Series. It's also got a new comfortable interior that gives you more room than the Ford. Plus, for a limited time, you can lease a new CK Silverado with all these features for only $269 a month for 24 months. The 95 Chevy CK, more truck, less money. Get one today at your Heartland Chevrolet Geo dealers.
Well, if you like racehorse hockey, stay right here with us on your Ultimate Sports Connection MSC tonight, because we've got a wild end-to-end barn burner tonight, Glenn.
Certainly have. Our team likes to play that way a certain extent. I don't know that Frank likes it all the time, but they like to get racing too. And done a pretty good job of keeping Perot off getting too many dangerous chances. Brown snuck in there, as we commented. He only needs about one chance, and that was in a partial change. We didn't have all that checking line out against them then. And you're not going to be able to have them out there all the time either. It's a real juggling act.
You know, I enjoyed a lot of moments of last night's game against Kansas City when it was just wide open back and forth, lots of goals scored, and I know the fans had a real treat with that as well.
Well, you see some great skill exhibited here, no question about that.
I want to remind me to make a comment that Rob Brown was talking to me about later on here tonight.
All right.
Here is Cowie. Second team AHL All-Star last year. Another high-scoring defenseman on this team. There's a hook being applied to number 8, Ivan Korovo, and Chevalier is going to get the gate for the Phoenix Roadrunners as he brings down and puts a major league hook into Korovo.
You're talking about their offense, and not only do they have the top, you can see just a very obvious, a very persistent hook. If he'd let him go after the initial tug or two, he'd have probably got away with it, but he persevered and hooked him actually off his feet, and it's pretty tough to not call that one. You're commenting, Wally, about the great offense, of course, of Perot and Brown, but at the same time, they got the top 2 scoring defensemen in the league in Snell and Cowie, and that's a regular, they were the top 2 scoring defensemen in the American League last year. Snell with 96 points for St. John's, the Toronto farm, and Cowie with some 70 points or so, maybe even 80. We tried very hard to get Mr. Cowie at the start of the season. We were looking into that one. But they're great offense there to go along with the up-front offense of particularly Brown and Perot.
It's not Chevalier getting the penalty. It is Rob Cowie. And Minnesota has the game's first power play opportunity. They have the puck, and the attack's on. It's out in front. Oh, and a nice try there. Just didn't finish it off for Ivan Korovo as he tried to stick handle a quick move around goaltender Byron Defoe. Minnesota's power play is ranked 15th in the 17-team league at 17.1%. However, in the last 5 games, Minnesota's power play has been a wicked 30%. Hitting on 3 out of 10 chances.
Yeah, some tough breaks there. Humanik is not available. Dean Kolsted's not available. Both who get considerable power play time. So it's a little adjusting back there too for Frank Serratori and Mike Antonovich to do.
Larry Olam to Stefan Moran. To Dave Christian, weaving out of the zone, passing it up to Williams, who drives it in as the Roadrunners set up a blocked wall at the blue line. Now Christian at the point, fakes the shot, playing it down low for Korovo. He rolls it off for Williams, back to the point for Christian. Now the other side for Olam. Back to Christian, deep slot to Olam. Winds and fires right on. The rebound is loose and it's grabbed off and cleared by the Roadrunners. Defoe behind his goal. Leaves a puck there for number 24, Brian Straub, and he again clears his own. Minnesota's going to try to work shots from the half board or from the point against this team. These are the game scouting reports from Coach Frank Serratori from earlier game against Phoenix, a game in which the Roadrunners beat the Moose 8-4 in Minnesota. Here is Olam behind the net, trying to play it out in front as he's all wrapped up on the play by Levine. And that allows the Roadrunners to clear their defensive zone. Snuggerud trying to start it up right away. Blasts it in high off the glass. Levine, number 55, back for it. The penalty has expired, so the runners are at full strength. And here they come. Here's the dangerous Yannick Perreault. Perreault to the slot, shoots, and a kick save by Draper from Minnesota. Behind the net, Rob Brown, one hand centers it. There's a shot blocked, a rebound by Perreault. Draper saves, and another try just goes wide off of Bowlesma stick. Oh, is that a dangerous line for Phoenix? Hawkins from Minnesota. Hawkins fifth year in the IHL. His Pittsburgh Penguin property as he shoots it in. And heads off on a change. Chapman back for the Runners, shoots it in. This is Brown going to the corner first. Tied up by Brad Miller. Parole tries the center, but Moran grabs it off. To Gavin. Behind him, but he reaches back. Cuts through the neutral zone. Still in control. Here's Stu Gavin. Putting it out in front. And Corvo was dropped. Brad Miller from the point. Has a shot blocked. Here come the Runners. Look out. It's 3-on-2. Rob Brown getting around Brad Miller. Drops it off. Now it's centered. Oh, and it rolls just off of Chris Snell, the defenseman, wide. Snell backs up to his post, but expect to see him pinching in all night long.
Yes.
He gets a lot of points, and when you're 8th in the league in scoring, you don't get it from the blue line.
No, he's very intelligent. You know when he does it too, chiefly, Wally, is when he sees Perot or Brown in control of that puck. Then he's not gonna do it when one of those checkers got the puck. When Perot or Brown has it, he comes charging.
All 3 goals scored in the first half of the period, and we will be back to talk with Moose defenseman Chris Miller when we return to Phoenix.
Hardee's presents this month's
goals. I think there's probably a timing thing there that he's got to get back into form, and it's a tough team to do it against these guys who are so offensive-minded.
It's great to have him back. He's a big physical presence and just a very good presence for this team. And you're absolutely right, Wally. There's going to be some time where he has to get the timing and everything down a little bit, but there's no other way to do it than to let him play.
Here comes the big line for Phoenix up against the big line of Minnesota. The Moose will try to get a change. There's Yannick Perreault with the puck momentarily, but Brad Miller now passes across ice a little bit behind Christian. And Levine has it. His pass to center for Brown is blocked. Dan Curry starts back for Minnesota. Across the line, hands it off to Christian. His backhander into the slot, hits the skate en route, and is taken away now by Bilesma. He lost it at center, and the Moose throw it right back in. Minnesota sends out their checkers. Perreault through the middle. Given time, has a shot blocked by Hawkins. Plays it behind the goal. And the Moose grab it off as Chris Miller cranks it off the glass and will carry all the way back down ice. As Cowie goes back to touch it, it'll be icing against Minnesota. Well, folks, if you're looking to save some money on Minnesota Moose hockey tickets, try the Target treat seats. Stop by any Target store and pick up your discount coupon. $3 off on the 850 seats when you stop by Target. And that's good for all games through the remainder of the season. Target treat seats, $3 discount. If you like this kind of racehorse hockey, we've got some good action coming up. In fact, 2 games next week, the 7th and the 8th. The Minnesota Moose will be back home Tuesday against Houston and Wednesday against San Diego. Dave Axtell plays the puck over to his defensive partner, Chris Miller. Banks it out to center. There's a race for the puck. John Young trying to go after it. If he gets here, he has a man in front. Hits Hawkins with a pass. Hawk has to slow up now. Hawk back down into the corner for John Young. Young leaves it for Chris Miller. Miller going into the corner is knocked down. Now Corvo trying to pry it loose. He's tied up by Rob Cowie. Young comes back in. Now to Hawkins, winds, fires, ouch, that's off a leg, but it bounces ahead. And Vachon clears it to the Minnesota blue line. Young to Corvo. Trying to break through the middle is Hawkins, but he's hooked. No penalty called there. Here's Cowie behind his goal. Firing it up the middle for Gary Shuchuk. Now to Vesey, back to Shuchuk. Gary Shuchuk dropping it off. Taking it is number 14, Thomason, who rolls it on a backhander through the crease. At the point, a shot is right on and blocked and cleared off to the side. Shuchuk with 1 goal tonight. Played 58 games for the LA Kings last year. Plays it down low for Tomlinson, who assisted on the goal. Tomlinson back to Shuchuk. Back to Thomason in front, but he's knocked down from behind and couldn't get the finishing touch. And Shuchuk will chase it down in front of his own bench at center for Phoenix. He lost out. Curry taking it off the boards, but he's squeezed out of the play by the defenseman Brian Straub. Now Rob Brown To Straub without his helmet. Straub checked and knocked flat, and a good open ice hit by Brad Miller. Draper stops the shot. Now here's a breakaway pass. Christian going in. He scores! Dave Christian taking a breakaway feed from Curry and beats goaltender Byron Defoe in the top shelf.
There's no substitute for speed, is there, Wally? If you'll watch here, David is streaking down that wing. Straub tries to get an angle on him, but David is just too quick. You'll see this. The pass comes wide. Look at Straub trying to head him off, but he just can't get there. David has enough room to get a good enough angle, so he's got Defoe in the middle of the net where he can't really cut down the whole angle, and he goes to the short side up over his glove and beats him cleanly. A rather disgusted Straub gives him a little nudge as he goes by after the... But that's what the speed... Most of the players with that much of a head start on Straub would not be able to get by him enough to get that good an angle and that good of a scoring opportunity. Just a great play again by Curry to Christian, and a nice finishing job by David.
And Christian becomes the second Minnesota Moose player this season to reach the 20-goal plateau. The assist going to Dan Curry, his second point on the night. So he is feasting on his former teammates.
Yes, I'm sure he's enjoying this.
There's a timeout on the ice with a tie hockey game as the Moose come back. We'll be returning to Phoenix for more in the Valley of the Sun.
You're never too old to play in the snow with your friends, especially not when one of those friends is Dodge Neon. With its cab-forward design and four-wheel independent suspension, Neon gives dashing through the snow an extra dash of fun. And right now, first-time buyers can get $400 cash back on select Neon sedans and coupes. Dodge Neon. Think of it as your very own 132 horsepower snowball. See your friendly Dodge dealer today.
MSC is known as your ultimate hockey connection, and here's the reason why. You got Golden Gopher hockey. You got Gopher coach Doug Woog and his half-hour show every week. You have Minnesota Moose hockey with a total of 20 games this year on MSC. You also have the Let's Play Hockey show. Total coverage from the Pee-wees to the pros on MSC, your hockey connection. Stay with us every single week for lots of Minnesota hockey. And hope you're enjoying this one on this balmy Phoenix night. People here on our crew in short pants. It's just disgusting, isn't it, Glenn? There's Tom Draper out there taking a hit, playing the puck to the corner. He got burned for a goal last night trying to come out. But if he would have made the pass, it would have been a breakaway. So you gamble a little bit.
Yeah, you did.
Here come the Roadrunners. Trying to cut in was Jeff Chevalier, but the Moose grabbed the puck, and here they break out of their own zone with Larry Olam leading the attack. Corvo gets a piece of it, tipping it deep into the Phoenix end, and Defoe leaves a trailer there for defenseman Checkman. Behind the net, number 55 is Levine, who's checked hard on a nice jolt by Corvo. Minnesota gets a puck, a shot on goal. Corvo the rebound, and Defoe covers up as he goes to his knees.
Nice to see Big Ivan Corvo parked right at the crease, Wally. That's his history as a goal scorer in the minor leagues has been a lot of garbage, you might call it, from around the net. Who cares? They all count. And since he's been back, I've noticed an increased number of opportunities that he's getting for himself by storming to the net. He was right there again when John Young unloaded it. Defoe made the save, and you'll see, watch, John comes out of here, lets it go. The puck's there. There's Ivan, Big Ivan right there digging away at it. He wasn't successful this time, but he got one game or two back on a play like that, and he'll continue to get them if he keeps getting that kind of position in front of the net.
We saw a good close look at Byron Defoe, who is the busiest goalie in the league, has played more minutes than any other IHL goalie. And now, Moran is being waved out, so Defoe will not have to see him on this next draw. Vesey, number 12 for Phoenix, out of Charleston, Massachusetts, clears a puck to neutral. Comes back now to Steve Wilson out of Kingston, Ontario, a third-year pro. Wilson fires it across ice. It's too far out of the reach of Tomlinson, and the Moose corral it behind their own goal. Moran straight up the middle, breaking out, being chased by Shuchuk. Shoots it in. Christian trying to reach around. Does. A backhand shot, though, is blocked. And a close try there. Back come the Roadrunners. 3-on-2. Down the left side was Tomlinson. He's checked. Centers it for Chuchuk. But he was tied up. Now Christian for Minnesota. A neat little handoff. Here's Mike Smith leading the rush. Back to Curry. He scores! Dane Curry gets his third point of the game and his second goal, and he did an identical move as his first goal.
He held that one again as he did on the first one and fired it up on the short side again, or this time the same side, the stick side. Big grin on, first a nice rush up the middle by Chris Miller. Back over to Big Dan Curry, and with Stefan Moran charging to the net, Curry uses him as a decoy, holds it again, and just watch him hold it. Look the look here. Looks. And, no, I'm sorry. I thought that was Chris Miller. That was Mike Smith charging up the middle that got that chance for Big Dan Curry.
Mike Smith and Dave Christian picking up the assist. And boy, did Smith read that right coming from his defense post when he saw Moran in a little bit of trouble. It's 3-2 Minnesota as this lead has changed hands 3 times in this game. Minnesota leading for their second time. Dave Hackstall into the skates of Stu Gavin to Brad Miller. Stripped away from him by Rob Brown. Put out in front. And a shot wide, but it comes right back to the side for Perreault. Blocked. Draper down. And the puck finally scoots out to center. Eric Levine, number 55, trying to pass it across the line, and he does for Dan Bilesma. Bilesma leaving it for Snell, who lost it. A pass goes off some skates. Stays in the zone. Now Perreault deflects it on goal as he snuck in behind.
That's who we're talking about.
Actually, he just stayed there.
He stays there. He doesn't.
He says, hell, I'm not going to fact check. You guys do it. A boomer by Gavin is right on goal. Blocked by the goaltender. And then there's a penalty coming up to Williams for a trip. And finally, Olam gets the puck, and Minnesota will get the gate. Williams will go off for tripping. We will go to a commercial break and be back for the high-powered Phoenix power play.
The Football Hall of Fame. The Pigskin Palace. The House of Helmets. The Shangri-La of shin pads. You all set, Mr. Ready to Worship? Yeah. Wait, there's a McDonald's. We'll cherry the temple of touchdowns awaits. Yeah, but so does 95-cent double cheeseburgers. Sizzling hot beef. Melted cheese. You know me and cheese. You love cheese.
Right now, McDonald's famous original double cheeseburger and morning fresh sausage McMuffin with egg are only 95 cents each, but only for a limited time, so hurry.
But they're not going anywhere. Are you kidding? They're made of bronze.
Here you'll see the penalty call. Sean Williams reaching out for the puck. Rather, not a strong kind of penalty, but Chris Miller told me to be good. Told us to be good to the referee, so we won't say anything.
All right, Sean Williams. You see in the box. It was his birthday last week. He just turned 27 years old, the native of Oshawa, Ontario.
Both he and John Young have really stepped up their play of late. They went through a spell where they were just having a tough time producing any points, and both of them are point producers, and it's really frustrating. But they've come out of it lately, and that's real good to see, because sometimes there'll be a little spell during the season where things just don't sort of seem to go right for you. But both Sean and Johnny Young worked their way through that.
You're looking at the Phoenix Roadrunners, who possess the league's second best power play. They have scored 56 goals on it and have been nailing it at 22.2%, which is excellent.
Yes, you can.
Anytime you get 20.5%, it's fantastic, and you get up to 22, and it's an awesome power play. And they got the offensive players to do it. Moran trying to tip it loose, does. It's 2-on-1 Minnesota. He pushes it ahead for Christian. Going in, he shoots. And Defoe makes the save. Phoenix roaring right back. This is Chris Snell, their defenseman. Shooting it in past Chuchuk. Chuchuk throws a check. Now a bunch of players crashing into the corner. As Chuchuk hammered a Minnesota player, got hammered right back. And it looks more like a football tackle down there than anything else, as all the players on the ice, except the two goalies, have wound up in that pile.
That's the kind of reaction as a coach you like to see, though. You can't just be on the receiving ends of this stuff all the time without making that statement. And I couldn't see who came roaring in there. And I don't know, did you notice, Wally, whether the call was being made initially on, I think it was Shuchuk that charged in there.
There was icing.
Oh, I see.
What the whistle was for.
So there was no penalty call being. Now he's going to make one, but I hope he hasn't made it just to the Minnesota guy. It looks like it might be. Here goes Hack, and Shuchuk continues right in and jumps into him there, and then Miller came in, and then look at this guy jump on top of Miller. It's just a sequence, so I don't know how he can do anything other than make that even. I don't know.
Right at you. Watch this.
It's Shuchuk first, Hack back to him, now Chris, and now Vesey, and then David Christian, and a whole bunch of them.
And somewhere under there is the football.
We still have a minute 9 to go in this penalty, so if he gives us an extra one, this will be a tough call because we'll be 2 men short.
Maxwell, 2 minutes for roughing. Maxwell, 2 minutes for roughing.
Roughing minors to both Dave Haxall of Minnesota and Jim Vesey of Phoenix, and that's a good call.
Yeah, well, you did think that as you watched it, it became pretty obvious that that's the only call he could make. It was hard to single out either team as the real, what would I say, aggressor in that. They both came in there very hard, and he made a call that didn't put either team at another disadvantage. It would have been as I mentioned, a very tough call against the Moose if he'd put his 2 men down against this team. I'm very glad he didn't do that.
Because there was already a Minnesota penalty, it remains a 5-on-4 skating advantage for Phoenix. And they are called offside at the Moose blue line.
Phoenix offside.
Referee tonight is Tom Cavell, and the linesmen are Steve Cathcart and Tony Knowles. Knowles out of Toronto. He's telling me, hey, is this game on TV tonight? I'll have to call my mom living in South Minneapolis tonight.
The Roadrunners have got all their firepower out there on this power play. Perot, Brown up front with Chevalier, who's a very outstanding, Tomlinson, who's a decent scorer too. And then, of course, they got, logically, Snell and Cowie, those 2 great offensive defensemen back on the points.
Well, that's a lot of offense.
Yes, it sure is.
And they are stripped of the puck. Minnesota breaks out. There's a breakaway. Stu Gavin in alone, going in. Oh, and a nice save by Byron Defoe as he got the shaft of his stick on that shot. 3-2. Minnesota leads, and they almost went up 4-2 on the breakaway by Stu Gavin.
Boy, that would have been a big one, wouldn't it, Wally?
20 seconds left in the power play as here comes Yannick Perreault. 43 goals on the year, folks. And his poke checked off his stick, and Minnesota did a good thing right there. They stood him up right at the blue line.
That blue line becomes like another defender for you if you use it properly, and Minnesota did in that case. There is Mr. Perreault, I believe, and as I commented earlier, he's just a goal-scoring machine, Wally, wherever they put him. In the minor leagues, he has not done it. Here's the pass right up the middle, a great play, and Stewie Gavin, with that speed of his, catches up with that puck, jumps over that stick, tried to go short side again on Defoe, where Dan Curry has had so much success, but this time Defoe was able to get a piece of it.
Here come the Moose. Chris Miller finds a seam up the right side, drops it back for Moran, looks across ice, just missed on the pass, and a second one glances off the skates. Williams steps out of the penalty box, so that time has expired, and Minnesota kills off the penalty. Minnesota's penalty killing has been near perfect over the last 6 games. They've allowed only 1 goal in that time, 94% effectiveness. And right now they're called for icing, so we'll spot a face-off back in the Minnesota end to the left of goaltender Tom Draper. A couple of parties going on tonight. And we've got one on February the 4th at Rookies Sports Bar at the Days Inn in Brooklyn Center. They're going to have some free drawings, specials on food and drink. You'll want to check that one out and take in the Moose and Roadrunners, Glenn, with the Glenn and Wally Show. This coming Saturday night. Go on out to Rookies and have a good time on us. Well, with us, not on
Yes.
us. That could be expensive, eh? Straub at the blue line. Shoots it to the side of the Minnesota goal. Draper comes out. He's pinned up along the boards momentarily by Chevalier. And now here's Davy Christian regrouping at center. Oh, he's got some speed and some moves. To Curry into the deep slot. Here's a Smith shot going wide. Moran drops it back to the point for Olam. Cuts to the middle and shoots, but that's blocked. Now Moran gets it. Fires it goalward just wide. Curry shoots, and it's batted away by Defoe. And he comes up with a fine glove save on that blooper.
He was fiddling around with it, Defoe there. That for a minute I thought he was going to knock it in his own net. He looked like he was trying to get the stick on it. He grabbed at it with his hand. He didn't seem to have real good control of it, but he came up with it. If you watch it here, look at it. It's up in the air. He puts his stick at it. It's up again. He reaches out, grabs it with his hand. He did have pretty good control of it. I was wrong. Yeah. Curry is a dangerous guy around. Look at him hit it with his stick up in the air, and then he's rather fortunate. It came right to his hand. It could, or to where he could grab it with his glove. It could have fallen down right in the slot area there, and there would have quite likely been someone there ready to bang it home.
Now that mask he's got, you notice the coloring on it. It's not necessarily stars and stripes representing America, but he was born in Sussex, England.
Oh, that's interesting.
But I think the stars and stripes here make him a little more Americanized. Byron Defoe. Playing in his 4th straight game.
He'll be a very high commodity when we have that team in England and some of the places we're going to be. Well,
that's right. Here's a penalty coming up as referee Tom Cavall has the arm up in the air, and it's going to be a holding infraction against the Minnesota Moose. We'll be back for another Phoenix power play when we return to Arizona.
Get a grip on winter with Dodge Dakota 4x4 Club Cab. With a standard driver's side airbag, plus an available 220 horsepower Magnum V8 that puts a chill on Ranger and S10. And right now, you can get up to $26.83 in discounts for package value when you choose extras like V8, speed control, AM/FM cassette, and more. The snow is piling up, which means our selection of tough 4x4 Dakotas will be melting away before you know it. So see your nearest Dodge dealer today.
Our next broadcast will be right here from Phoenix. We'll have a day off tomorrow. The team will be practicing here in Phoenix. And then Saturday night, the same two teams go back at it. Switch your dial over to KLGT, Channel 23. And Glenn and I will have our broadcast starting at 8 o'clock Minneapolis time. It'll be 7 o'clock here out on the fringe of the Superstition Mountains. And here's a penalty call against the Minnesota Moose as John Young has gone off. Look for number 11 right here, putting the clamps on number 9, Rob Brown. I guess that's one way to slow down that guy. But you pay the price, and Young does. Phoenix on their second power play. They clear the zone themselves, and backing up is Chris Snell. Snell, top scoring defenseman in the league, is 8th overall in points and 4th in the league in assists. He helps his team get across center by playing it into the zone. Now back at the blue line is Cowie, over to Snell, winding and firing. It goes just through the crease wide. On the other side, Yannick Perreault gets it down low to Brown, out in front now for number 14, Tomlinson, but he was all wrapped up. And then the Moose captain, Dave Hackstall, clears the zone. Perreault to Brown, to Perreault, who chases in after it. Corrals the puck, looks to the point, finds the far side with Snell. Snell down to Tomlinson at the side. The big guy will try to plant himself out in front, but he's planted to the ice on a jolt by Miller. Here's Rob Brown with the puck to Yannick Perreault, puts it out in front, and it's too high for Tomlinson to control. Perreault now to Tomlinson. He's wrapped up by Hackstall, and Draper gloves a slow roller and holds for a face-off.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Teams have a particular guy that they usually like to carry the puck as you start the power play from deep in your zone. For the Moose, it's Dave Christian. I watch him practice, and Frank wants David carrying it. Somebody that has the speed, Wally, to get you the line so you can set up there, or the intelligence to make the play. If they aren't going to let you get the line, then you know at the point to wrap it in hard, so you've got a chance for your guys to go in on that side and win the battle for the puck deep in their zone. For the Roadrunners, it's Yannick Perreault. Interestingly, the other interesting thing about Yannick, everybody said he couldn't play in the National League because he was too slow. Then they had the speed trials at the International Hockey League All-Star Game, and he was the fastest skater in the whole league. And now, if you look at him, he doesn't look like he is, Wally, but they carried a puck around, or I'm not even sure they carried the puck. I think they did. But it was around the rink, and he wound up as the best time in the whole league. Well, that put that belief that he was not
theory,
that he wasn't fast enough to play in the National Hockey League.
Whose property is he?
He is Los Angeles's now.
Of course, Phoenix Roadrunners are a farm club for the LA Kings, but like a lot of teams, even though you're a farm club, you are allowed to shop for free agents too, and Phoenix is no different than anybody else. Here's a pass down low, but all tied up at the side of the net was Jim Vesey, and it allows the Moose to clear the zone. 20 seconds now remain in John Young's penalty time. Here's Gary Shuchuk into the Minnesota zone. He's played almost 90 NHL games in his career after leaving the University of Wisconsin. Shuchuk, number 16, flips to the point. Here's Steve Wilson with it, bouncing it towards the net. Draper's down. Shuchuk curling to the sideboard. Shuchuk looking. Young is out of the box. Minnesota now at full strength. Pass comes out in front to Snell, but he can't get a hold of it. A second try, he shoots, and Draper makes that save. Now Stu Gavin clears it off the boards, and finally the puck goes the length of the ice. It will be icing, as hustling back to touch it is Brian Straub, and a faceoff will come back into the Minnesota zone. We've got a Love Day special. Oh, look at those hearts in there. It'll be next Wednesday. A special Valentine's celebration will be going on. And you'll watch a great scoring duel between Minnesota's Stefan Moran and San Diego's Hubie McDonough, who are 4th and 5th in the IHL scoring race and are fun to watch when they're on the ice against each other.
His Shuchuk is an interesting one, example of how you get helped by having an affiliation. Sometimes you get hurt. They're bringing people up. But this case, they sent him down here for a 2-week conditioning program, and he's just been a dominant player here. He's got the goal, but seems like every time you turn around, he's got the puck again, Wally. And there are some advantages of being an affiliate, and there's some disadvantages, and right now he's turned out to be a real plus for this Phoenix team.
And it is his first game for number 16, Gary Shuchuk. A long rising shot by Mike Smith is wide of the goal, but stays in the zone. A Moose player is tripped, no penalty called there. Smith at center breaks up a play, feeds Corvo, and now to John Young. Young of South St. Paul bounces it up ice. Picking it up is Hawkins. He has to wait for a moment to get Corvo onside, but lost the puck. Now from center, Hawkins shoots it right back in. And a whistle on a high stick, apparently, against the Roadrunners, so they'll have a face-off staying in their zone. As you look at number 24, Brian Straub, out of Bozeman, Montana.
University of Maine, one of the players out of that wonderful program that has national champions and all kinds of things there. Had some I wouldn't say confusion, but some rules infractions and all kinds of sanctions and things there of late. But that's a very, very successful program. Have turned out a lot of fine players, including Paul Correa with Anaheim, who many think will be the Rookie of the Year in the National Hockey League this year. But Brian Straub comes out of that program and has been a good player in this league.
Icing coming up. There's a race for the puck. After it is Dave Tomlinson against Minnesota's Chris Miller, and Miller wins the draw. Face-off will come back into the Phoenix zone. We'll return to an 80-degree Arizona in just a moment.
Catch the excitement, fun, and adventure of Equestrian Magazine this Sunday, 5 to 6 p.m. right here on Midwest Sports Channel. An equestrian program for everyone. Equestrian Magazine, hosted by Hugh Cardenas and Lori Mangan. Equestrian Magazine, an original concept presenting information and entertainment from in and around the world of horses. Equestrian Magazine this Sunday, 5 to 6 p.m. Midwest Sports Channel.
Single game tickets for most games are dirt cheap, folks. Look at that. $6 to 14 and half dollar quarters in there too. Kids and seniors get $2 off on certain seats. All Ticketmaster outlets have tickets. So does the St. Paul Civic Center box office. You can even do it as easy as charging by phone. $6.50 to $14.50. Minnesota Moose Professional Hockey, the best buy in town. Boy, we've had some great crowds showing up too, Glenn.
Yes, we have.
5,200 plus last night. A little bit low, but it's a midweek game. But other than that, we've had almost 12,000 last Saturday, 10,500 before that. About 6 out of the last 7 prior to that were over 7,000. So Minneapolis and St. Paul hockey fans are really digging into the Moose. Here is an injured player, Dave Christian, slow getting to his feet. Finally hobbles over to the bench. The Moose are without Scott Humanek right now, who got whacked just above the ear on the back of the head. It wasn't a knee injury that we had thought initially, but Chris Miller was telling us off camera that he took a little knock in the head and was feeling woozy, so we haven't seen him return yet. Now Christian limps off. Minnesota has a puck in their own zone as Dave Hackstall fires, and it goes up into some seats just to the left of the Minnesota goal.
Certainly hope David is going to be all right. That would be a huge loss with Gary, our very capable trainer, Gary Smith, working with him. And see him across there talking with him. And he appears to be all right. He's sitting in his normal position on the bench now. Get a look.
Kind of a little difficult sometimes to see the benches here. We've got kind of a reverse setup for those of you who are into the broadcast format. Our broadcast location is on the opposite side of the ice as a camera, so we've got a slightly different perspective. And it doesn't quite allow us to get good shots of the player benches. That had people ducking. Yeah, have another beer on that one. You just saved yourself a dentist bill. Look at Sean Williams, a 27-year-old out of Oshawa. Had a goal and an assist in last night's game. His 14 goals in the team is 3rd overall on the Moose. He's also had 4 2-goal games this year, so when he scores, it comes in bunches.
Yes, he had a real burst earlier in the year, and then he had a little bit of drought we're talking about, and his play has really picked up of late.
Number 19 is Steve Wilson. Played at Miami of Ohio collegiately, shooting it into the Minnesota zone. Larry Olam, a former Golden Gopher, takes a hit but plays a puck up to the left side. Minnesota trying to work out. They do, and here's Olam taking the pass. Olam across the blue line. Feeds it to his right for Todd Hawkins. Stopping in the corner. Hawkins to the point. Here comes. Oh, and it just missed going to Moose Morissette. Back comes Bilesma, tied up by Morrison, who hustles back into play to take his man out. And Brad Miller feeds it ahead for Johnny Young. Reaching the blue line, he just slides it in and goes off on a line change as the Moose make 5-player change on the fly. Gary Shuchuk has it poked off his stick by Moran. Shuchuk tapping it off the corner boards. Puck is played, but not out. Minnesota trying to keep it alive. They do, but Corvo had to roll off his stick just a couple of feet away from the net. Corvo up on right wing now, replacing Christian on the line with Dan Curry and Stefan Moran. Moran falls. Corvo trying to pry it loose. Does. Feeds it right back into the fallen player, Levine. And Levine comes out of his zone for Phoenix. Lifting it in. Draper stops it. Behind the goal, Shuchuk looking, puts it to the points, drop, fires, kicked out. Here's Minnesota breaking out now. Curry just had a pass too far for him, And back starts the Roadrunners. Trying to cut in is number 15, Chevalier, but he's checked. Minnesota right back. Curry looking up ice. Finds Moran. He leaves a trailer for Curry. With 2 goals already, his shot glances off the defenseman wide. Starting to open back up now. Minnesota leading this game 3-2. 4 minutes to go here in period number 2. Vassy is checked, but carrying on is Chevalier. Played 3 years at North Bay. He's just a rookie. Chevalier cutting out in front, but his centering pass is grabbed off, and here comes Minnesota. Gavin to the middle for Williams. Williams going to the left as he shoots it in deep to the zone. Rob Cowie rounds his goal. He's a second-team All-Star in the American Hockey League last year. Over to Straub, who stripped to the puck by Snuggerud. Puts it out in front for Corvo. He shoots. Blocked. Another shot. It's loose in the crease. Oh, and Olin couldn't finish it off. So close for Williams. And then Olam. And a big break there for Byron Defoe. Meanwhile, back comes Rob Brown. In on goal, he centers it. And just missing is Dave Tomlinson. Olam checks his man into the corner. Pass out in front. Perreault, backhander, and Draper stumps him at the doorstep. Wow, good action. And Williams has got to be wondering how to miss that one.
It's not good news that Davey Christian was unable to come out with his regular. I see him out there now, but I'm afraid he's going off at the end. No, he's trying it and skating around a little here. There's the shot, then the rebound right there. But look at Larry Olam, just couldn't quite find the handle of that. It was in his feet, back behind him, right at the edge of the crease, and had he been able to get the stick cleanly on it, he could have swept it right into the empty net, but happily for Mr. Defoe, it bounced away from him. He was unable. There's a dejected Larry Olam saying, oh my goodness.
He was dejected, but when I asked him earlier, hey, that was a big high school game the other night.
Yeah.
Warroad and Roseau playing a capacity crowd. He said, yeah, the right team won. Warroad. Here come the Moose. Todd Hawkins has a bouncer come on goal. Hawkins gets it again. Plays it behind the net for Johnny Young. Young trying to cut out in front. Pass bounces off some skates. Pinching in, though, is Brad Miller to keep it alive for the Moose. Young centers it. It bounces around like a ping pong ball out there right now. Trading hands several times. Hawkins fires. It hits a defenseman. Number 19, Wilson. Corvo trying to get it out of the corner. And finally, enough of this action down low. Well, here's our new Dodge game story to this point, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody can score on the power play. Shots on goal are low after for what has appeared to be a wide open game. But Dan Curry has been the big offensive bulge in this game. 2 goals and an assist as he's factored in all 3 Minnesota goals and has helped the Moose to a 3-2 lead.
There's Big Dan. Players always like to come back to the team they had left, no matter what the circumstances of their leaving are. And I'm sure Dan is really enjoying having this good evening in here in his first game back at the Phoenix.
He was the first guy down here today. He and Todd Hawkins came over around 2.5 hours before game time, so he is ready.
Yes, he is.
Puck goes into the Minnesota zone. Gary Shuchuk putting it out in front, but Moran picks it off. Tries to flip it across ice. Here's a steal. Now down low for Shuchuk. He scores!
Once again, talking about people who are factors, and he has been as strong, as big an offensive factor as Curry has been for us. He has been for the Roadrunners. He gets put in all alone. He pulls it by Tommy Draper and just slides it up past the far post. Careless pass in the Moose zone allowed the interception by Chevalier, who slipped it right over to Chevalier, or to Shuchuk, who was in all alone.
Three all hockey games now with 2 minutes to go in the period. Chevalier, the lone assist.
Good to see that. Good to see Dave Christian back out there.
Yes, it is. Now a whistle.
Offside.
Phoenix
And
offside.
offside will keep a play, face-off in the neutral zone. Coming up in our second intermission, we'll be talking with Rob Brown, second in the league in points. We'll have another edition of Hockey Stories, have highlights of the period, and we'll chat live with head coach Robbie Laird of the Phoenix Roadrunners. Back into the IHL this year for Mr. Laird. He spent the last 4 years coaching in Moncton in the American Hockey League. He was in the I before that, I believe, with Fort Wayne.
Yes, he was.
He played for many years.
He played there for a while. He was a very successful coach there.
Here's Chris Miller from Minnesota, rolling the puck low for Corvo. Now to Young. Young left behind the net. Corvo is flattened into the goalpost, and there'll be an obvious penalty coming up here. I tell you, it's a darn good thing he's got that mask on. He could have split his face open on that one.
Pretty hard to ignore that one.
Brian Chapman, number 22, just leveling him. Watch the play as 22 and 8 come off right here. Face first into the goalpost. And that is one you have to call. That is a very dangerous shot.
Ivan shaking his head a little bit. Now Ivan would like nothing better than to camp at the edge of the crease, one of his favorite positions, Wally, and steer in a shot from the point or wrap in a rebound. That would be poetic justice or whatever you call it. So he's gone.
Well, this would be a great one from the Moose if they could convert here.
Yes, it certainly would be.
A minute and a half to go in the period. Minnesota's power play, as we had mentioned, has been clicking very well of late. Although they are 0 for 1 tonight, they are 3 for 10 over the last 5 games. That's 30%. Almost twice what their normal average is. And let's see how it unfolds. Here's Christian, and his shot glances off the leg of a diving Bilesma.
Good job of Bilesma by deflecting the shot, but a good play by David. When that puck's in at the middle of the rink there and you've got a chance to set up and drive it to the net, you got to let it go. And the people in deep have to know you're going to let it go, Wally, so they can charge to the net. I think one of the problems the Moose have been having before is there wasn't good communication on when he was going to shoot it. So, for example, there either Curry or Corvo would be standing out the side waiting to see if he's going to give him the puck back, and there's nobody charging for the net. We had the people charging for the net there. David let it go, but unfortunately Bilesma went down and got a piece of it and deflected it up into the seats.
How do you communicate that? Whether or not he's going to shoot or pass?
Yeah, you have to have an understanding that if he has room to shoot, he's going to shoot.
Okay.
And then if the guy gets on him so quickly that he can't shoot, then he may direct it to the side again. But I think the Moose are working on having a better understanding of that and getting those shots from the point, not only through, but through into traffic.
Phoenix breaks up the puck and takes advantage of bringing it up ice, but it's just slid into the Minnesota zone by Dan Bilesma, and he heads off. Bilesma out of Grand Haven, Michigan, playing in his 3rd year of pro hockey. Played for coach Robbie Laird at Moncton last year. He's off the ice, and on is Brian Straub. Is poked off to the side. Straub taking the puck, number 24 for Phoenix, and he clears it the length of the rink. Number 15 cruising in is Jeff Chevalier, but the Moose come out, and here's number 17, Larry Olam. Across the line with a full head of steam. Olam with a couple of seconds left, fires high, is blocked, winds up behind the net, and that'll do it for this period of hockey. As a buzzer.
Larry was trying to put that up in the short side right there. I think he had Defoe leaning a little away from the post. There might have been room there, Wally, but he missed his target, I'm sure. I'm not reading his mind, but I think that's where he was trying to put it.
It's tied up after 1 or 2 periods of play, so Minnesota has come back from a 2-1 deficit to even up the hockey game. We'll be back to talk live with one of the top guns of the IHL, Robbie Brown.
Game tonight. Everything that we've gave the Minnesota Moose tonight, they've taken advantage of it here. We've turned the puck over at the offensive blue line. We should be getting it deep. They're down at about 5D right now. They got to be a tired hockey team, so we got to play with a little bit more game intelligence and a little bit more smarts.
I think the Moose don't want. I hear Frank talk to his guys all the time too, Robbie, about turnovers at the either blue line, that real danger zone. And so we're saying it's a wide open wheeling game. Surprisingly few shots considering the amount of real good puck control they've had. Is that, as we were commenting, Robbie, because these guys are such gifted scorers, they don't waste a lot of shots. They wait for the good play.
Yeah, we do try to make an extra pass or two there, but again, what's happening tonight, Glenn, is the Moose have scored on a breakaway. They've scored on 2 3-on-2s, so that's what we got to try to prevent here. We're not going to blow this team out tonight. If we're going to win a hockey game, we're going to win a tight one. They're playing a real responsible game.
Well, Rob, thanks very much.
Thanks,
Best of luck.
Yeah, thank you, Glenn.
Robbie Laird, the head coach of the Phoenix Roadrunners, and I remember him back when I was broadcasting the Eye back in the 70s. He was a very good player with the Fort Wayne Comets.
Tough little competitor, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
We tried to get him for our WHA team a while, and he had some injuries and some things, and he didn't quite get to there. But I remember watching him play as in a Memorial Cup with a junior team up in Western Canada, and he was just a leader. You knew at that time, Wally, that he was quite likely going to wind up coaching or captain. I bet you he captained those teams in Fort Wayne when he was playing too, because that's the kind of a competitor and player he was.
Well, didn't he play with the North Stars for a short stint?
I was saying we got him here. He was the kind of player we were looking for, but he couldn't quite make it at that level, Wally. But he was very successful in the International League, and he exhibited those qualities that you knew he was going to continue to be involved in the game when he was done playing.
And he's not happy with his team's performance so far. And right now, Minnesota will start this third and final period on the power play, as they have about a half minute to go in it, remaining in that time to Chapman of Phoenix. The Moose coming up across center as Larry Olam drives it in. Ivan Corvo lets it go by, but back in the point is put out in front as a loose puck to score! Ivan Corvo for Minnesota! And the Moose tally a power play goal to go up 4-3.
That's that position in front of the net for Ivan we've been talking about, Wally, and that is where he is very effective. And he didn't seem in his earlier stint before the injury, and before he came back, he seemed to be having difficulty getting that kind of opportunity, which he has always got since he's been back. Since he's been back, he's had some real good opportunities, and he cashed this one in.
Minnesota power play goal scored by
here's a look at it.
His fifth of the season.
5-hole.
Yeah. Goal number 32, Dan Curry. Number 25, Stefan Moran.
Dan Curry and Stefan Moran picking up the assist on Ivan Corvo. Fifth goal of the year. And I think the big thing is nice to see Ivan scoring some goals right now for Minnesota.
Well, we're counting on some of these guys coming back for us to pick up our scoring, which has been a problem for us all year. And he's one, and he's doing it. We got Todd Hawkins is going to be able to do that for us, we expect to, and Scott Shizens when he comes back. And we're going to be a much more balanced hockey team. So much on that one line to get all our goals.
Dave Tomlinson for Phoenix. Please excuse us, folks, but we are working on the audio problems. We apologize for that slight inconvenience. A puck is stalled up along the boards. And, getting off on a different tangent right now, Glenn, but this Minnesota Moose team, you can really sense a feeling of camaraderie with this club. They're really together. They're playing well. They know they can go out whether they're down, tied, or ahead. You can just sense that this team feels they can go out there and beat anybody in the league right now.
That has developed only over the last while, Wally. We're talking, as we've commented on so much that we're almost tired of commenting on, we got off to a horrendous start, particularly at home. We had a lot of situations that had to be rectified, and we made some changes. We were able to add some quality people during the year. And you look at now some of the people that are playing with us very well, including Curry and people like Hawkins and like Shizens, and with that, and then with Humanek coming back and being available. So a lot of those things have happened, and now this team is, as you said, developing some confidence and some good feeling as a team and some trust in one another.
And they don't have to rely on one line right now to do the scoring. You look at the mild scoring streaks that guys like Larry Olam, John Young, Dave Snuggerud have put together, and they're not guys that were, were putting up big numbers in stretches earlier in the year.
There's no question we still get the big impetus from that big line, and I think it's always going to be that way with this team, Wally, but you do need other people chipping in.
Exactly. And it has, as Ivan Corvo has scored to put the Moose ahead on a power play tally. Minnesota 1 for 2 on the power play tonight. Here comes Rob Brown, the dangerous guy, dropping it off, but it's intercepted by Dave Snuggerud, and he clears the zone. Hustling back for it is Eric Levine, third-round draft choice of Washington back in '91. Levine moves it up ice, but a little too far, as it's going to be a icing call against the Roadrunners.
You get those dangerous guys, Robbie Brown, involved, as you described, Wally, and then all of a sudden you see that very reliable defensive player, Dave Snuggerud, jump into the action and shut that chance off. And that's one of the reasons, obviously, that Frank would like to have David and Stewie Gavin and Sean Williams out there against those guys as often as he can, and he's done a good job of keeping that matchup. You can't do it all the time, obviously, because Robbie Laird, as the home coach, does have the last change.
Stefan Moran, Dave Christian, and Dan Curry, the big line for Minnesota. Curry with 4 points in this game tonight, 2 goals and 2 assists. Here's a shot right on goal by Potomski. This is Barry Potomski, who has seen limited duty tonight. Shot was right on goal and an easy save for Tom Draper. There's a pause on the ice. Minnesota 4, Phoenix 3. We'll be back to Arizona on the Ultimate Sports Connection.
Peace.
Hardee's presents this month's 99-cent sandwich of the month, the mouth-watering hot ham and cheese. Why? Because most people aren't wealthy athletes with a big sneaker contract. And because when delicious ham is piled high and topped with melted cheese on a bakery bun, well, it just tastes great. Plus, you can't get anything like Hardee's hot ham and cheese sandwich at McDonald's or Burger King. Hardee's hot ham and cheese for 99 cents, the sandwich of the month. Big taste, little money, and that's what people want.
Officials aren't all bad. They're waiting before they start during our commercial breaks.
And Chris Miller told us to be nice to them anyway, and I'm remembering that.
Here's Personnel hustling after the puck, but he's got to go up against a fast, wily NHL veteran, Dave Christian. Christian gets the puck from Minnesota. Then it's swept away, but Moran, dancing behind the net, tries the center. It's deflected off of Personnel's stick. And back comes Tomlinson. Shooting it in. Draper, stick handling in the corner.
Scares me.
That scares Glenn.
But you got to let their goalkeepers play the way they feel confident. You know, and he has played such great goal for us. Hard to criticize anything he's doing.
No, especially when in his last 18 games, he has 12 wins, only 3 losses, and 3 shootout losses, which effectively count as a tie because you get 1 point in the standings. But Draper has been phenomenal. Hey, there's lots of promotions coming up, folks, at the Minnesota Moose games played at the St. Paul Civic Center. This coming Tuesday, the Moose will be wearing their Fighting Saints jerseys to honor that team. And then Wednesday the 8th will be our Valentine's celebration. The 21st, we'll have a human dot race going on the ice. The 22nd, we'll have our 3rd edition of the Moose trading cards. They'll be handed out free. And on the 28th, we'll have a discount for those people who bring in a canned food donation. All to a very worthwhile cause, the Minnesota Food Shelf. So help us out with that, eh? And save money on Moose hockey. Here's a shot from the point that goes wide of the Minnesota goal. Phoenix having to go back into their own end for the puck as it's cleared. Goaltender Byron Defoe, the busiest man in the eye, comes out to clear it around. And bringing it up ice now is Rob Cowie, number 77. He lost the puck. One thing Coach Frank Serratori commented to us before the game is that Minnesota really had to concentrate on the neutral zone trap. Tie up guys. Don't leave a big gap between the Moose forwards and the Moose defense, which was happening last night. We really haven't seen too much of that tonight,
Done a pretty good job of that.
And you can see the Moose players kind of floating back a little bit, nursing that lead, and this has become a team that has done a very good job at holding leads. Brown in front is thwarted. Dave Hackstall looks the puck high in the air, and that will force the Roadrunners all the way back, but it'll also be an icing call against Minnesota, as the checking unit was out against the big line of Phoenix. And there's a look at Captain Dave Hackstall. Probably the steadiest defenseman of the Moose team.
Yeah, he has been just a bulwark on this team all year long. He is, he's not going to produce a lot of offense for you, but he is not only among the steadiest on the Moose team, but in my opinion, one of the steadiest and most effective defensemen in the league. Just, when they pick all-star teams, they never consider guys like Dave Hackstall. Yeah. That's why the scores in those games are 12-12. You have guys like Dave playing, they ain't going to be 12-12.
Several players digging away for the puck to the right of the Minnesota net. Number 34 there is Big Potomski. Lost the puck. Potomski trying to get it. Does. Barry Potomski looking. A young 22-year-old out of Windsor, Ontario. Plays it behind the goal. Picking it up there is Vachon. Putting it out in front. But the pass is errant, and the Moose clear the zone. Hustling back for it is Brian Chapman, number 22 for Phoenix. Chapman's pass. Up the left side for Vachon. Now to Tomlinson. Drops it off to the middle. Here's a shot by Straub. He scores! Straub was left alone in the slot. And the drop pass to him was picture perfect, and he unloaded a bullet.
Yes, he did. Looking right up high, right under the crossbar. Just a great shot.
And a nice feed by Tomlinson, who was looking all the way.
Very clever play.
Straub doesn't get a lot of points. That's his fourth goal of the year. Actually his first goal playing for Phoenix. He's been here now just in his 8th game. Straub was acquired from Atlanta on loan, and good steady defenseman. Tomlinson gets 1 assist. The second assist goes to Nicholas Vachon. 4-4 game. Back on the Roadrunners again, and a shot goes wide. Picking it up on the far side is number 14, Tomlinson. Lost the puck, and Dave Christian feeds Moran. Now to Brad Miller. Brad Miller drops it off to Curry, snaps one off, and that's just wide as two players go crashing over goaltender Byron Defoe. One of them was Chris Snell, who's slow getting to his feet. Moran back for Minnesota to Christian. Davey Christian throws it through the crease, just wide. Olam holds it in. Christian going after behind the net. Gets it away from Defoe, but the puck bounced away from him. And now is controlled by Yannick Perreault. To Snell. Lost it in some skates, and Chris Miller takes over for Minnesota, ringing it around to the weak side where nobody is except Stuart Gavin of Minnesota. To Christian, who heads off by handing it ahead now to Olam. The two Warroad guys connect, but Olam falls to the ice. Pinning it up along the boards, number 19, Steve Wilson. And here's 77, Cowie with it. Getting it up for Perreault. Shooting it into Rob Brown.
Oh, what a play.
Checked away by the long reach of Brad Miller. Here's Cowie at the point. Shot blocked, and Brad Miller takes control. Big Brad for the Moose. Across the line. But pushed ahead of the play with Stuart Gavin, and it's offside against Minnesota. 4-4 score. We'll be back on MSE for more from Phoenix.
Round here, folks believe in making things last. Relationships, neighborhoods, and the family automobile. And who wouldn't want to see that 100,000-mile mark? So it's no wonder so many rely on their neighborhood 76 station. Here you'll find quality gasolines and services to help keep your car humming along. We can't promise you'll see that 100,000-mile mark, but we're glad to help you try. 76. Go with the spirit.
We've talked about MSC being your hockey connection, but it's also your home for hoops. Golden Gopher basketball is here, so is the Clem Haskins Show, and also the Game of the Week from the Continental Basketball Association, the primary feeder to the NBA. All of that right here on MSC, your basketball connection. And here on your hockey connection, you're looking at Ivan Korobel, who gave the Moose a 4-3 lead earlier in this period on a power play, and wearing that special face mask because of the fractured orbital bone that he suffered in a mammoth collision earlier this year with that player from Denver.
Jason Ruff. Big, strong. Ooh.
A bad bounce, and Korobel just can't quite get there in time. Nobody expected to roam out in front. And the Roadrunners skate to center. Korobel breaks up a play. Feeds Young, now Hawkins. His shot deflects off the stick to Wilson wide. And here come the Runners. Out of town, a final score helps out the Moose as a Peoria Riverman defeat the Atlanta Knights 5-3. That will keep Atlanta last in the Central. Korobel for the Moose. Across center, feeding Hawkins. Leaves a trailer now for Korobel off the wall. Cuts to the middle, slows up and backhands it deep, and heads to the bench on a line change. Meanwhile, here comes Chapman clearing the zone, but Chris Miller shoots it right back in for the Minnesota Moose. Digging it off the wall is Jim Vesey. Vesey's pass deflects and winds up in the Phoenix player bench. Let's take a good close look at Barry Potomski. Well, some of these Moose Bar promotions are really picking up. We want to wish a big hello to everybody at the Village Inn in White Bear Lake from the Moose. Hope you're enjoying this one like we are. And a hi to the Sunshine Factory in New Hope.
Section 310.
Having fun with the Moose.
That's great to see that, Wally, isn't it? People getting together to enjoy their Moose hockey and a little evening out.
Dave Christian, who slightly injured his knee earlier in the second period, is okay and is getting a regular shift after missing a couple of turns on the ice. Here's Moran racing after the puck, gets around a man, puts it in front for Curry. Oh, and he's robbed of a hat trick on a great save by Byron Defoe.
Great job of just diligence and hard work by Stefan Moran to come up with the puck and then make a great watch Stefan persevere here till he comes up with that puck, kicks it back up on the stick now, makes a great backhand pass into the slot to Danny Curry, who went where he'd been successful 2 other times. This time Defoe was able to come up with the save.
I think Defoe was ready for that shot to the far side. Nice stop.
Wasn't exactly the same, Wally, because the other times Dan was over on that side, and he held it and then kind of got him moving the other way a little and put it back behind him. This time he went across him kind of to that side again, but Defoe was up to the task this time and made the very, very good save.
Yannick Perreault to Rob Brown. Shoots it goalward, it goes wide. Perreault takes it off the boards, puts the brakes on, centers it, but Brown's tied up by 2 Moose players. Now Brad Miller clears it to the blue line, but not out. Eric Levine holding it in. Brown trying to center, but he's being worked over rather vigorously by Dave Hackstall right in front of you. Hack stays with his man. And that's enough time to draw a whistle from referee Tom Cavall.
We talk about a presence, and there was a perfect example of the big, strong presence of Brad Miller. He came in there and just tied everything up. It was nice to see Brad dashing out of our own end a few times and starting to do a few more things with some confidence with the puck. And as we said, that's only going to get better as he plays some games. It's hard to step in the way he has. He's done a good job here. but it's going to progressively get better with Brad as he gets more playing time.
Again, if you had missed it, Miller has been out 12 of the last 19 Moose games due to a bad shoulder. But he's a big physical presence for Minnesota when he's in the lineup. Here's Levine coming in from the point. Draper down and makes the save. Levine gets it again and fires, and Draper 10 feet out of the crease hangs on.
Whoa, they are just coming at us.
How do you slow it down?
Well, we need, in these kind of occasions, what you really need is maybe a little breather as they're having right now. Wouldn't be a bad time for a timeout if you wanted to use one. The other thing is we need one of our lines to come out and have a dominant shift where we get down and play in the other end and kind of take the edge off that. They're coming on like gangbusters, and we've got a line change here now, and we could use a big shift here from Johnny Young's line. Yeah, here's Levine, pulls it off the side. Looks like he'd almost passed where he could almost have the empty net, but Draper's over there and got a piece of it.
Larry Olam rounding his goal. Moose are down to 5 defensemen because Scott Humanick suffered a mild concussion after he was belted in the first period of play and hit up just behind the ear, but enough to keep him out of this one. Levine to Tomlinson, who backhands it into the Minnesota zone. VC going in after it, colliding with Chris Miller. Players falling all over, and here comes Minnesota roaring up ice. Stefan Moran in the deep slot over to Hawkins, a little bit behind him on the pass, and Phoenix coming back. Olam will chase a loose puck to the Minnesota blue line, and number 17 for the Moose flipped it up the middle, intercepted, however, by Rob Brown. Brown looks it skyward. Just back from LA. He had a 12-game point streak going. Also had an 18-gamer going earlier in the year. Brown has stretched it to 13.
Look at Miller come out here. This is the kind of stuff we need.
Yep. Was lacking earlier in the season. Not now, as the defense is joining the offense a lot. Here's Brown across the Minnesota blue line. Looking. Rob Brown, one of the premier assist makers in the league, is all tied up, and here comes Stefan Moran, 2-on-2 with Gavin. Gavin takes the pass. It's trailer for Williams, but it must have been just
very close.
Outside. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very close call.
Pause on the ice with the score tied at 4. We will be back at the base of the Superstition Mountains in a moment.
What car is the perfect answer to Minnesota winters? Subaru. And White Bear Subaru is where you'll find them. Like the all-new Impreza Coupe, on sale now for just $169 a month. Or drive the red-hot, totally redesigned Legacy. Value priced right now at just $199 a month. At St. Paul's only Subaru dealer, White Bear Subaru. Every Subaru is available in all-wheel drive, just in time for winter driving. And no one has a better selection than White Bear Subaru, just north of 694 and Highway 61, White Bear Lake.
12 packs for sale, folks. 12 packs. We got 12 packs here. Moose tickets, a dozen of them. Look at the price. It's $102 or $78. And you can pick up your 12 packs by calling 26 Moose to gain more information and get a good selection of Moose games for the stretch drive here of the IHL regular season as the Moose crank it up for the IHL playoffs. 12 games for that little money. That is incredible. And there's a look at a guy who's been a factor in all 4 Minnesota goals tonight. Scored 2 of them, assisted on 2 of them, was the first guy here to the rink tonight. Almost beat Dan Schaefer and Gary Smith here, who was still trying to finish up 9 holes. Can you believe that?
Yes, I can.
But he has been the man of the game so far. Curry, a former Phoenix Roadrunner, began the season here. They felt they had enough offense on this club to release him and loaned him to Minnesota. He's been the Roadrunners' loss and Minnesota's gain. Curry has vaulted himself up in a short period of time to be 3rd in points on the Moose team. He now has 31 points in 27 games as a Moose. Moran from Minnesota clears the puck. It gets beyond the defenseman Chapman back to the blue line where Brian Straub, who has a game-tying goal at this point. Hackstall intercepts. Now to Dan Curry. Rifles it on the Snuggerud stick. Leaves a trailer for Williams. Back out in front. Oh, and Curry is stopped at the doorstep by Defoe. Back comes Brown. Leaves a trailer, but ahead of the play was Yannick Perreault on the right, and it's offside Phoenix.
We're going to see an awful lot of Yannick Perreault and Robbie Brown through these last 8 minutes. We have seen an awful lot of them the last couple of minutes, and we'll continue to see a lot of them.
Do you see the line matching still continuing?
Well, a little bit, although they've got away from it, and that time Frank just, as I say, sometimes you can't help it, but he just left Moran's line out there against Perreault's line. That's dangerous for both teams because neither of those lines are known for their great defensive play, and they both are just high-powered offensive. So sometimes they maybe say, well, let's just let them go head-to-head.
That's just a combination of shield and a lower draw protection.
4-4 score, 7:50 to go in the game. Provided we go into another blasted shootout. Here's a centering pass. It's intercepted by Hawkins. He pounds it off the boards, but Snell is able to hold it in for Phoenix and rifles a shot towards the net. It's centered out in front by number 15, Chevalier, and he just missed getting it on goal. Took a stick in the process. The puck is finally cleared out of play, and Chevalier goes over to complain to referee Tom Cavall. As you take a look at Barry Potofsky, a third-year pro, who has averaged 200 penalty minutes a year. How tough is he?
Well, he's a different kid than I remember. I saw him when he was playing for London in the Ontario Hockey League when I was scouting for the Flyers. He was like a wild man there. They called him Tarzan. He had the big hair, the big blonde hair right down to, on the shoulders, and he was a great fan with the girls, particularly in London. And they were having trouble, some problems with him. But he's a big, strong kid who's got some ability.
Tarzan looking for Jane, eh? All right, play is in the zone. It's Curry firing. Oh, and Defoe came out to meet that one. And Dan Curry has fired so many shots tonight, I think he's got sore arms. Defoe is probably sick of them. Here is Levine. Handing it off to Snell, and roars across the line and scorches a shot just wide. Backhanded by Mike Smith. He gets it again. Smith for the Moose. To Christian. To Curry. To Moran. To Christian. Snell deflects the shot wide and picks it up behind his own goal. Hands it right to Moran. Moran can't get good wood on it. And it's cleared out of the zone by Phoenix. It's going to be icing. No, it's not. It's waved off. Phoenix changing all 5 players on the go as Dave Christian starts back. A long rising shot is over top the glass. It will be icing. Who's going to get to it first? And it's finally touched by a Phoenix player as 2 players were banging into each other. And that'll be an icing. Gavin complaining, but no call. It's still tied at 4. That's the time remaining. We'll return to Phoenix for more Moose Hockey.
Hi, I'm Dick Bramer. 1994 was quite a year in sports. Some of the nation's best athletes teamed together to bring us a full year of excitement and thrills. Well, now it's time to take a look back at the year in sports. There were some great victories along the way and some disappointing defeats as well. Join us for 1994 MSC, a year in review, Sunday night at 6:30, right here on MSC, your ultimate sports connection.
Every game, the new Dodge presents our game story, and here's what has happened so far. Power plays, just 1 out of 4 chances between the teams, and it came by Minnesota to give them the lead here in this period. Been a low shooting affair for the tremendous chances we've had here tonight, but Dan Curry has been the offensive story all the way with his 4-point game. And there's a goal judge's view of how this thing will shape up. And he will be a factor the rest of the way. This game will be decided, folks. No ties in the eye. A winner every night. No icing will be called. Phoenix in the white. Across the line. Here's a dangerous Perreault. Cutting in. Shooting. And it's wide off the defenseman's stick of Dave Hackstall. at the blue line. Cowie holds it in. His shot ricochets off a leg to the corner. Parole centers. Back onto the point. It's picked up now by number 19, Wilson. But his pass is intercepted and Minnesota starts back. Dave Snuggerud, number 10, looking into the slot. Miller shoots right on, and that's blocked by the goaltender Defoe. Phoenix coming back up ice. It's Yannick Perreault across the line, leaving it for Rob Brown, the top two guns in the league. Moose break it up. There's some heavy checking going on down there. Minnesota has their checkers against this line. Here's a shot from the point that's blocked. Chapman with the try, and the Moose clear it out. Brian Straub back for it. Up to Brian Chapman. 3 Bryans on this team. Brian Reynolds is not playing for Phoenix. And here's Chapman at center, shooting it in. His teammates have to tag up as they are offside. They do, so plays allowed to continue with forechecking pressure being applied. Only one man in deep for the Roadrunners as Minnesota breaks out. Ivan Korovo across center, snaps it in. Defoe in his red, white, and blue pads leaves it behind the goal. They give it away to Todd Hawkins and not to Ivan Korovo, but he was all wrapped up by Jeff Chevalier, an impressive first-year pro. Clears it out to center's hauled down. Fans hauling for a penalty. Here's Chevalier again with the puck. He's checked. Minnesota changing on the fly, and some questions being raised by the fans here about too many men on the ice. Long rink-wide pass to Chevalier is being chased down. Chevalier behind the goal, but it's deflected and winds up in the ground. And now Tomlinson is over there complaining about the goalie.
Did it go right into the crowd? He's trying to get a call, and he shot it right into the crowd, and I don't think he's going to get it. I certainly hope not.
Draper looking innocent, as most goalies should in a situation like that.
We had the shift with the big line out there with Perreault and Brown. Of course, they tried different people with them. They had the Potomsky kid with them that time. Now we have the Moran, Curry, and Christian line out. It would be nice if we could take this thing down to the other end and get them holding their breath the way we were holding ours with that Perreault line out the last time they were out.
And you saw the time. Just 4 minutes to go. Tied at 4. It was 2-1 Phoenix after the first. Each team had the lead in that period. Minnesota went ahead 3-2. Phoenix tied it. Minnesota went ahead 4-3 here in the third. Phoenix tied it. Behind his goal is Eric Levine. Out of Victoriaville, Quebec. Cross the line to Snell. Back over to number 14, Tomlinson. Behind the goal, a couple of players battle for it. Slid around but not out. Chris Snell winding up, fires, blocked out in front. Puck is still loose. Backhand of Tomlinson is wide. Behind the goal is Jim Vesey. Vesey still working with it. Draper looking around, which way did it go? Christian chases it over to the left side, and with the help of Dan Curry, they clear it, and a slow roller carries the length of the rink. It will be icing as the Roadrunners get back to touch it.
Minnesota icing.
Interested in being a Minnesota puck buddy? Here's how you do it. It's open for kids 7 through 12 years of age. You get to help out during pre-game warm-ups at a Minnesota Moose game. And besides the free tickets you get for that, you'll also pick up some Moose merchandise. So if you want to be a Minnesota Moose puck buddy, kids 7 through 12, send your name and address and phone number to the Pioneer Press, 345 Cedar Street in St. Paul at 55101. A Minnesota Moose puck buddy. There's a puck buddy, Dave Snuggerud. A rink rat, grew up in Minnetonka, played high school hockey at Hopkins, collegiate hockey at the University of Minnesota, Olympic hockey in 1988 for the U.S. team, and 4 years of pro with the Buffalo Sabres. Stayed out of hockey last year. Decided to get his elementary education degree. Did. Now he's back playing hockey. And was the first player signed by the Minnesota Moose last summer.
It's one of the smart things we did, Wally.
Give you credit, Glenn. I don't care what they say.
We did. Some things weren't too smart, but there was nothing wrong with that one, I'll tell you.
Yannick Perreault shoots the puck into the Minnesota zone. The Moose get it. And Stuart Gavin, a longtime NHLer, ahead for Sean Williams. He lets a shot go, but it deflects off the stick of Cowie wide. Now Snuggerud centers, and Williams just wasn't quite there yet. Williams going to the sideboards for it. Straub chasing it down behind the goal. Checked by Snuggerud. And Perreault fires the center. Gavin lifts it right back in and heads off as the Moose change on the fly. Here's Brian Straub in the game-tying goal at this point. To center for Perreault, into the zone, trying to feed it through to Tomlinson. That didn't click. And back come the Moose. Todd Hawkins, in his first game after a long absence due to the elbow surgery, shooting it in. Straub on a collision into the corner there with Corriveau. Now they go the other door. Hawkins breaks that play up. Chris Miller at the blue line keeps it alive. Potomski checks him, but the puck stays in. Hawkins holds it in. Now in the corner, here's Corriveau putting it out in front for Hawkins, but it's cleared away by the goaltender, Byron Defoe. Now here's Hawkins again, shooting! And it's just high and wide. Corriveau centering pass is just missed by Hawkins, and what a good shift there for Todd Hawkins. Back come the Roadrunners. Chevalier shoots, and it hits Mike Smith's stick. Dan Curry banks it, but not out. At the point, a shot blocked, the puck loose in front. Fine defensive play there by Brad Miller. Fans barking for a penalty, none will be called. Make that Mike Smith on the defensive effort. Here's Curry, faking, shooting, and Defoe saves. A rebound by Moran, and Defoe another save, lying back on the ice. Moran behind the goal, but it's picked off. 50 seconds to go on this one. Here they come, across center. And the play is broken up before Shuchuk can break loose. Moran chasing it down from Minnesota on the attack. Moran stick handling in the corner. Tied up by Chris Snell. Moran gets loose. Shuchuk watching him closely. Christian pokes it off the boards, and finally it's scooped up by Eric Levine. Levine's pass almost picked off twice. Minnesota shooting it back in from center. Here's Levine. 15 seconds left. Hackstall back for it. No icing call. Brad Miller takes control, number 4 from Minnesota. And the puck is cleared to center. 8 seconds left. It looks like another shootout coming up. Yak! Here's Miller firing from center right on, and Defoe makes the last save.
What a great effort by the Moose, though. I'll tell you, Wally, they just came in here and battled and battled. The lead changed hands numerous times, and they hung in there and got themselves a very solid tie here. Now maybe we can win a shootout.
Okay, a shootout is next. Don't go away. The most exciting thing in hockey is coming up. We will return to Phoenix, Arizona to find out who will win this one.
Filtered Miller Genuine Draft, the cold one.
So you shook me, baby.
For those who've discovered its smooth draft taste, the world is a very cool place. So get out of the old and get into the cold.
Maintenance, slippery floor in quadrant 2, potential liability. Clean it now. Sales vehicle 4, air reconnaissance shows huge pothole 2 miles ahead. Whoa, smoldering cigarette butt and trash can in section 4A. Boom! Oxygen filters detect the flu virus.
By only a 2-1 score.
That was unbelievable. And what was so frustrating with that one, Wally, is because we were the home team and shooting last, we had about 9 consecutive chances where if we had scored, we would have won. Their guy had missed, and it just didn't happen.
Minnesota will shoot first. Their record in shootouts is 2 wins, 9 losses. Young. He scores! Johnny Young scores! Minnesota has lost 4 straight shootouts. Phoenix has won 5 and lost 7 shootouts. And they have won 3 straight and 4 of their last 5. And now, shooting is Gary Shuchuk with 2 goals in the game. He's stopped by goaltender Tom Draper. That's a big stop.
Yes, it is.
But there's plenty more ammunition on that Phoenix bench.
Yes, there is.
And now, here is Stefan Moran, the Moose leading scorer, and he has 1 assist tonight. Oh, nice skate save by Byron Defoe.
He tried to put it between his feet, I think. Well, he pulled it to his backhand, tried to steer it between his feet, which very often is a good move, but he had Defoe kind of off balance, but it hit him right on the toe.
Now here is Rob Brown, second in the league in scoring. Draper stops his slap shot from 12 feet out. 1-0 Minnesota in the shootout. We will play all 5 shots. And if it's tied after that, it goes to OT. Now, with 2 goals and 2 assists in this game, here is former Roadrunner Dan Curry for Minnesota. Oh, and he can't quite finish the hat trick. Yes, he's relieved to stop Curry. The leading goal scorer in the IHL and the leading scorer, Yannick Perreault. Draper with the save. Tommy Draper has been perfect so far in the shootout. Oh, hang on. Key shot, and Dave Christian will step up to the plate for Minnesota. Oh, he goes top shelf, and a beautiful save. That was a good save. Glenn is just shaking his head, speechless.
Yeah, we keep having these great chances. If he scores that one, then there's all kinds of pressure on them.
Here's Jim Vesey. Oh, he went to the backhand, and Draper stops that one. An area that he's been sometimes weak on in the shootout. Okay, it's 1-0 Minnesota after 4 rounds. Todd Hawkins will shoot. If he scores, the Moose win. Here comes the Hawk. Defoe makes a stop on the backhand. Now it is up to Chris Snell. He has to score to force sudden deaths. And something wasn't ready here as referee Tom Cavall put the brakes on Snell's effort. Now everybody's ready. And here comes Chris Snell, the leading scorer amongst defensemen in the league. Oh, stopped by Draper, and Minnesota wins.
Tommy Draper, just sensational. Tommy has found the answer to shootout heaven, or whatever you want to call it, with that great display he put on against Cincinnati. Though we lost that one, he stopped some 9 or 10 in a row. Now he stops all 5 of them. What a great win for the Moose. What a great outing for Tommy Draper. Look at that one. Oh,
unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh, what a great, great win for the Moose. Okay.
And look who he stops. Yeah. Rob Brown, Yannick Perreault, and Chris Snell, the last one. 1, 2, and 8 in league scoring.
Oh, my goodness.
And then Shuchuk, who spent most of last year playing with the LA Kings in a regular role. And Tommy Draper, happy. And he goes off with a former goaltender, Coach Frank Serratore.
Everybody's happy. What a
unbelievable. Minnesota beats the top team, one of the top teams in the IHL, with a superb performance here tonight. Dan Curry is downstairs. We don't know if he's a #1 star or not, but you are in our mind, Dan. You had a super game.
Oh,
now, exactly. How psyched up were you about coming back here to play tonight?
Oh, I was really pumped. I mean, ever since it happened, the deal happened December 1st. The first thing I looked at is when we came back to Phoenix or played Phoenix, and I've been thinking about it ever since. And we were fortunate enough, and everybody played well, and we came out with 2 points.
Great win, Danny. Mark some other dates on your calendar. But now, just great, Dan. And you provided the offensive punch. Your line great again, but you with 4 points. And then Tommy Draper coming up the way he did in that shootout for us. That's just phenomenal.
I mean, he's just been playing great for us the last 2 months or whatever. Actually, ever since I've been here, he's just been playing great. And unfortunate last game we had against Cincinnati, we didn't. We went to a long shootout and he made some nice saves and we couldn't put the puck in the net. But today, we got one and that's all it took tonight.
Well, there was some line juggling going on there, but occasionally it was your line against the top line of Phoenix. How did you feel in that kind of a matchup?
Well, we didn't care. We thought if it was going to happen, it was going to be run and gun. Both lines going at it both ways. But there was some line shuffling, like you said, and we just we were fortunate enough to came out victorious.
You having formerly played with this team, you may notice a few moves by the defense, but both of your goals, you kind of drew the puck back. Is that something you had expected that they might commit to you?
Actually, I don't even realize. It just sort of came naturally. I've done that before, and actually, I haven't done it in a while. But sometimes when the D-man tries to poke you, sometimes it's better just to pull it back and fire the puck. And I was fortunate enough that a couple of them went in for me tonight.
So, what about the rematch?
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Saturday night, right back at her again. Enjoy some of this nice weather tomorrow, and there's big 2 points for us, and the road trip's not over yet. And we have to come out and play well on Saturday again and get 2 more points.
Just a great effort, Dan. Congratulations, and I know how happy you must be, and you've made us all happy.
All right, thanks.
Congratulations to Dan Curry, the game's #1 star with 2 goals and 2 assists. And he helps the Minnesota Moose defeat one of the highest scoring teams in the International Hockey League. Our post-game show will continue from Phoenix, Arizona after this timeout.
There should be a whole lot of road between you and your next set of tires. And that's why you should be on the road to Tires Plus for the value-priced Uniroyal Tiger Paw ASC.
Hi, I'm Tom Gigax.
Save this week on the Uniroyal Tiger Paw ASC, the all-season radial tire that works hard for your money. Sure footed, mile after mile.
Hurry, sale ends Saturday.
Nowhere